We made it.
We did.
Made it on to the upper room. To the upper room. All right. So we're truly honored and grateful to be in the building. And just grateful to be able to share some of our stories, man, share some of our life experiences with marriage,
hmm
with one another,
hmm
with ourselves in marriage. Been married 11 years.
hmm
I always like to add a year, but we've been married
Hey,
11 years. What's wrong?
ain't got nothing on my lips, but okay.
Go and get some on the pretty lip.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I just thought I licked my lip. I said, "Oh Lord,
Yeah, go and get some on your lip now, baby.
don't do that."
Yep. When you go and do your thing. I'm gonna talk while you. I'm live. I'm a minister. By the time you come, while you look, when you come back, we're gonna be ready up. We're gonna be fired up. No, don't worry about it. Anywho, yeah, we've been married 11 years, and my wife went around there put something on her lips, and what? She think I'm out to stop, bro. Nah, doc. We're gonna roll on. We're gonna keep on and keep it on. All right, Kim folk. So yeah, they've been married 11 years, man, and I feel like sometimes it feels like it's been 20 years, but thank God, to God be the glory. 11 has been amazing. I think I would say, while I'm waiting on my wife to get back, I think that I would say that in our time of marriage, we've learned a lot about ourselves and learned a lot about each other. And obviously, I think one of the most important things in the dynamics of marriage is that you learn, um, essentially, I would say we learn a lot about um, how finite we are as people, and not limitless, but how limited we can be. Um, and I say that because the soul, I won't say the soul, but one of the most important things about marriage and understanding is that, like, as you go through marriage, who you, all right, girl,
I didn't mean to do nothing too
yeah,
much.
girl, all right,
Yes,
I ain't no man.
messing up my hair with these things.
Mm. All right, yeah, one of the things that I think that we um how can I put it? One of the things that I think that we learn um in marriage is, yeah, how I said how limited we are. And what I mean by that um is that when we first got married, who we were when we first got married is not who we are now. And so
Yeah, I agree.
one of the dynamics of learning um where you're where you're able to grow to is learning where you stop growing. And so what I'm saying is that at some point you become a different person in marriage
hmm
because things happen to you, life happens, you learn more about yourself. And so one of the most,
You adapt.
yeah, you adapt. And one of the most I think one of the most godly things we can do in marriage is adapt and learn to love that person in spite of their flaws,
hmm
that we would consider a flaw, right?
Yeah.
Or love them in spite of how they're changing in a way that may poke or pry or just basically get on our nerves,
hmm
right? At the
hmm
end of the day, and like that's true love, right?
Yeah.
Like that's God and the Israelites. Israelites are running around doing whatever they want to do, cutting the fool, worshiping false idols, and God is like,
On a consistent basis, it's like
yeah,
a cycle.
yeah, freaking cycle, man,
Yeah.
and doing it repetitively, and God is like, but I still love you anyway.
hmm
Marriage is my symbolic way of showing you that I still care, I still
hmm
love you. There will be consequences, there will be, you know, discipline, but in essence I'm still going to love you, in spite of, and I'm still going to show you grace, I'm still going to show you mercy, I'm still going to do all those things, but also show you there's going to be a level of discipline as well too. And so there's going to be redemption, there's going to be restoration, all those things, right? And so I think that's one of the reasons why it's important in marriage that as you continue to grow and learn and adapt, as my wife would say,
Mm-hmm.
you learn kind of, okay, this is who I am coming into this, but having the understanding or expectation, right, that who you are today in this is not who you're going to be 6, 7 years down the road. And the reason why I'm starting here is because I feel like I don't want to hear your thoughts on this, but I feel like this is the crux of where many marriages, relationships fail, because either they go into it thinking, I'm going to be with this person for the rest of my life and I'm going to, we're going to die together. And that's true. That could be
Mm-hmm.
very well
That's the
true.
goal.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? But the piece I don't think that is accounted for in most instances is that, like, um, you may like ice cream one year, you no longer like that ice cream no more. And you're like, all right, I want to change the flavor. Or, hey, I like doing something else different. I don't like, hiking anymore. I want to go to the gym on a regular basis. I'm saying that to say that what you started out liking in marriage, you may not like that 6 or 7 years down the road, and how you change. Your partner will want to learn how to adapt to that. And so I think it's important that we learn to show each other patience
Yeah.
in this process, because there are a lot of things that may get on your nerves about your partner, and trust and well believe on the opposite side of the table, it's some
It's a
things,
mutual feeling.
yeah, it's some things on the other side of that table that's getting on they slap doggone nerves, and you need to be okay with that, and so I think that's what true godly marriage is, right? So yeah, what you think?
I agree. I think sometimes, like in the beginning of marriage, it's almost like you get love struck. Everything and even before you get married, like the dating process, right? It's like everything is attractive. How they look, what they do, what they say, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've even had someone even ask before, like I'll give an example. She said that when they were dating, anytime she saw him, she would get butterflies in her stomach,
Mm-hmm.
So shortly after they got married, not too long after they got married, she kind of hit me up. She was like, hey, I don't know what's really going on right now. She's like, I used to get butterflies in my stomach when I saw my husband. Now I don't get anything. She was like,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on? Is this real? And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's that infatuation stage. And it happens to all of us, right? When we're in that dating process. But like you're saying, when that goes away, if the goal is to be with your partner forever,
Right.
as we evolve, like we got married at 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We're what, 36 now, rolling out. So like you
Yeah,
said, 10, 11 years. So we definitely have changed and evolved over time.
a lot.
And I think it's unfair for us to expect our partners to stay the same when we marry them versus, over the years. Like you're growing, I'm growing. I think we all have to give that space. And like you said, give the patience. And the goal should be that you want to grow together. Like
Yeah,
that's the
like,
goal. It shouldn't be we get married. That's it. Like the goal from God's perspective is that when we become a union, it's business that we are now called to do as a couple.
mm-hmm.
It's not that we just stay stagnant. So
Come
I
on.
think definitely sometimes we can just get in that infatuation, love phase, honeymoon, that's what they call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Honeymoon phase. And
Mm-hmm.
it's awesome. It's awesome. But when that goes away, when the kids come around, when bills come around, when
Oh,
stuff
hold up.
like that
Oh,
come through,
walk slow, Bishop. Walk slow.
that's the real test, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So,
No,
so
you're
yeah.
right. And I think the piece is this is like in every other facet of life, it's okay to grow. It's okay to push people to their limits.
Mm,
At your work, they're pushing you to your
that's
limits.
true.
On the field, if you play a sport, they're pushing you to your limits.
Right.
Um, as any other facet of life, you watch a motivational video, they're trying to motivate you to push you to your limit
Yeah.
so you can grow and do great things. And then when it comes to marriage, it's like, oh, you're changing? Like,
Yeah.
who are
So
you?
you're not
Like, why are
allowed to
you? Yeah,
change.
like
This is new. I never
like,
seen this
yeah,
side of you
like,
before.
and so it's like,
Hmm.
why would you not allow or would not look for your partner to grow? Like, why would you want to hold them back? I'll tell you what my philosophy on that is. I'm glad you asked. I think that one of the things behind it is that, like, we as a people have an issue with control. Like, we want to keep things the way that they are because they benefit us. And so, if your partner is the same way in year 1, 2, and 3, and 4, you're like, oh, yeah, I love this. This is feeling good. I can expect this. Like, I like this level of security, whether it's emotional, financial, spiritual, whatever the case may be. You like that level of stability,
Mm-hmm.
and at any juncture or any rate,
Mm.
it changes. Now there's a sense of instability because it's like, ho, what's this level of change? Like,
Yeah.
who are you and what are you doing? Like, you're messing up our rhythm. And
Mm.
so in order to um grow at
Mm-hmm.
anything in life, there's gonna have to be a change in pace. There's gonna have to be a change in rhythm, and then once that change in pace and rhythm happens, then you're gonna reach another level of stability, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm saying it to say, like, once again, why is it okay for us to grow and change in other areas and facets of life, but then when it comes to marriage, you're looking at each other like they just changed. And it's like, yeah, Joker. Like, they
It's
supposed to
supposed to change.
change.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a
what do you
part.
like? That's what you signed up for, Jive Turkey. Like, let that Joker change. Like, help them change, help them grow. And here's the thing: you're not helping them just grow for the benefit of you. You're helping them grow for the benefit of us.
Right. The family.
For y'all, for the family. And so that's if you got kids, right? And so I think that's part of the real ideology of marriage when it comes to change and growing as people. And so I think that one of the hard parts about it is we don't know how to let go, stop controlling things and controlling people, because we're afraid it is no longer going to benefit us in a way that we were used to being benefited.
Yeah.
And so the real
Hmm.
root of that is
It's
selfishness,
good.
though. That's selfish. And
Yeah.
so um, pray for that. Like, pray for you, pray for your partner, pray for that level of, ability to want to relinquish the idea that it's not okay for, them to change and grow. And I think
Right.
here's the thing, though, now, because I already hear it in the back of my mind. Well, it's not on, and I'm saying this because I've counseled people before, y'all. I've been
Mm-hmm.
doing this for quite a while. And so I've heard this before, but I've also I can hear the thoughts in my mind of what people would say. It's not that I don't want them to change and grow. I just want them to be considerate. Oh, mm. Yes, you do. You do want your partner to be considerate. You do want them to be thoughtful. But at what level is that consideration and thoughtfulness just about you? And what I
Mm.
mean by that is that, like, consideration and thoughtfulness, it takes what? Compromise.
Yeah. That's it right there. Compromise.
Compromise. Like, in
Mm-hmm.
order for you to be considerate, it needs to have a level of compromising to it that it just doesn't benefit you. It benefits the greater good of the relationship, for the marriage, and for those who are within your household, which you are responsible for. And so yeah, we've been reading this book, man. We've been reading this book together. It's by Timothy Keller and Kathy Keller, great authors, as I'm sure you guys
Mm-hmm.
know. Hey, look, we ain't getting no money off this. I'm just gonna tell you right now. Everybody out there pushing ads and selling something and tweaking something so you can get a better algorithm. We ain't getting no dollars off this
No, we're
book, bro.
not.
I ain't going to keep it a buck with y'all. Listen,
It's a good book though.
we're
It's a good
sharing this
book.
because we've been in a lot through our marriage, and so we're reading together as a couple because it helps us uh, learn how to be vulnerable with one another at different levels. And
Mm-hmm.
so, this
And I
book.
want to
Go
pause right
ahead.
there, though.
Yeah.
I think that's important is the communication pieces for couples, right?
Ooh.
I think sometimes we get so caught up in the day to day lives when you got kids and stuff like that. It's almost like if we're not intentional, we can literally sometimes grow apart,
Mm-hmm.
and you may not have as many date nights because you don't have people to watch kids, and all that different
That's
things.
us,
But
Doc.
um, right, shout out to our parents when we're
Come on.
home. You guys are awesome. But anyway, um, I think we have to be intentional about spending time together. So I love the fact
Mm-hmm.
that we've started reading together and
Yeah.
praying more, because there is meaning behind it. Like that really
Mm-hmm.
does something to a marriage, and it shows God that we're trying and we want to seek Him and we want to once again grow,
Mm-hmm.
but grow as a couple. We want to grow. The goal with us is that we want to grow together. We don't want to
Right.
grow this way.
Right. Right.
And that's because the issue when you say, well, I'm just going to go do my own thing. And it's not that you can't do your own thing and have your own outlet, but you still should be having some form of connection to your spouse because you want
Facts.
to continue to grow in that triangle upward shape instead of outward. So I'm just putting that plug in there. Reading together, praying together. That's something you want to be intentional about. It doesn't stop when you get kids. It doesn't stop once you're married.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I think that you're referring to intimacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so there's different forms, different facets, different levels of intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
and that level of togetherness. Like, the more time you spend with someone, then the better the communication can become.
Yeah.
There's couples who. Here's the thing, and it's in any relationship, right? Like, let's start at the bare basic essentials. You start in kindergarten or elementary school, wherever you may be, and some people have had the same best friend since they were in elementary school.
Yeah.
By the time they're in high school, not maybe high school, by the time they're in like middle school, they can just look at each other and know what's going on. Or they can just look at each other in a room and start busting out laughing because they've had time together. They've spent time together with one
Yeah.
another, and they've built the level of communication with one another to the point where they could just be like, oh yeah, that's what you think of dog. Yeah, I know, bruh. They could just, that's how intimacy is built, right? Through
Mm-hmm.
time,
Mm-hmm.
through as we would say, trials, right? And so I'm saying that to say more intimacy that's there, then the better the communication
Yeah.
becomes.
Yeah.
And so, like,
The
what you're,
easier it becomes too.
yeah, yeah,
It's easier for you to open up when you feel like you have a connection. I think
yes,
sometimes you're not, when you don't feel like you can open up and talk about growth or talk about change or things that may offend you or different things like that. If you don't create that environment and you won't be able to talk about it. And I think that's
facts,
another issue too that some couples may have, is that when you have concerns, because you do have concerns in marriage,
sure,
but
yeah.
you have to learn how to be able to come to each other and talk about them.
Mhm.
But you can't do that if you don't create an environment for that, right?
Right,
It's easy to just cohabitate and live in the same house together, but allow your mind to kind of make assumptions, to kind of go on this wild story chase without you actually talking to find out what's really going on. So yeah,
yes,
you got to create that space, man.
right. And I think, to your point about creating that space, like, it's important for us to create the space for one another because okay, the terminology is to be self-aware. And you want to be self-aware
Mm-hmm.
of how you may come off to people. If
That's
someone
true.
says that you can come across as domineering or you can come across a certain type of way, it takes a level of humility. It takes a level of self-awareness, and a certain level of compassion, right? To
Mm-hmm.
hear what they're saying and take it into consideration and know
Receive
that,
it. Yeah.
yeah, receive it. To know that
Sorry.
if that's how, not, if multiple people are saying this, then there may be some truth behind it. And so you want to be cognizant of that, because 9 times out of 10, if you're coming off a certain way, then you're not going to create a safe space for them to be able to communicate how they're really feeling. I've been told for years, like, bro, you got to work on your tact.
Very direct.
Yeah, oh yeah. Listen, chop you down fast, dog. But see, once again, that's because that's, how I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up, we're gonna just, lay it to you straight. Ain't gonna be no whole lot of willy nilliness. We just gonna get straight to the point at the end of the day. But as my best friend would say, Matt, you gotta put you gotta put a little salt on that thing, bro. Like, you wanna, come at it the right way, because you don't want to have to ask for forgiveness later with something that you could have handled the right way the first time. I'm
That's
like,
good.
good point, bro. I received that. I
Dropping
appreciate that.
wisdom. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so those kinds of nuggets of wisdom, man, you stick them in your pocket, and you continue to my phone going off. You can continue to use them down the road and grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, absolutely, man. I think that's a really good point you mentioned.
Back
Um,
to you, book. I'm sorry.
no, you're
Mm-hmm.
good. I was just saying, we're reading this book. It's called The Meaning of Marriage, and so we are progressing little by little in the book. But I think one of the things that stands out to me the most in this is that there has been, based upon the studies that's in this book, right? And we're only in the first chapter, so we're gonna keep diving into this and give
Mm-hmm.
you guys some feedback if you want to read it and share some notes and comments, or if you have read it, share your thoughts as well too. But one of the things that we're learning in this book, man, is that, based upon studies, is that there has been this overwhelming thought process and philosophy that, um, correct me if I'm wrong, babe, is that
Mm-hmm.
marriage is there's no longer a need for marriage, for a very for a very few, not few, but for a very number of many reasons that they're saying. There's an age group of us who believe that marriage is no longer needed and necessary because a lot of their friends are saying their marriage is terrible. They don't
Mm,
they don't want
yeah.
to be married no more. Or
My.
or that let's just try and
Mm-hmm.
let's just try and sleep around with as many people as we can. We're gonna try to, as they old folks used to say, try to milk before you get by the cow. You know what they say?
Or why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free too? But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. All that. So, all these philosophies around what relationship really looks like, and um,
And then on top of it, you got the media. So remember
yeah,
they were talking
that
about some of the
always, yeah.
the shows and stuff and how they portray marriage, and they portray it on such a
Mm-hmm.
negative scale
Mm-hmm.
to where. But I think it's kind of crazy because it's like I know wonderful women that I'm connected to that desire to be married. I know a lot of people, so it's kind of crazy. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you got people, you got single people that are longing to be married, and then you got some, and I say
Mm-hmm.
some people that are married portraying it as if it's something negative. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like one of the things like it's something there in marriage. It's a lot there
Mm-hmm.
in marriage when you
Mm-hmm.
understand the foundation of marriage through God's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But when we take marriage and view it through the world's eyes, then it does become something negative. And it's kind of sad because I feel like people get the wrong perception
Mm-hmm.
of what marriage is. I feel like they don't get enough of positive sides of it, especially according to the book we're reading.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it's just kind of weird because you do got people that desire marriage, and then you got people, some that are saying, like you said, portraying it as if it's this awful thing.
Yeah.
Um, and that's not the case. I think, like I said, it depends upon whose perspective are you viewing it through. If you're
And
viewing it through God's or viewing it through the world's.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that even when you do view it through, even when you do view it from God's perspective,
Mm-hmm.
the thought process is all right, I'm a godly person.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the other perspective. We're assuming that these people are godly that's married, like, right? So we're coming from the biblical perspective. We're talking to believers who are
Yeah.
married, okay?
Yeah.
If you're not a believer and you're married, that's a whole nother ballpark, whole nother
Yeah, that's a tough one
field.
too, man.
Yeah,
That's tough.
we can jump in there too,
Pray
but
for you.
yeah, we can have a conversation about that as well too. But the perspective we're jumping on as of this point is those who are married who trying to keep their marriage together and are biblical believers,
Mm-hmm.
but and you're coming from a godly perspective. The thought process too is that if you're coming from a godly perspective, who are you holding yourself accountable with outside of your marriage? Like, what does your counterparts or your friends or your community looks like
That's good.
that can help you bounce ideas off
Yeah.
of, scream to the top of the roof, test some stuff up, so you can come back to
Vulnerable. You can be vulnerable around them.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You come back
That's
to the
good.
table and be yourself with your spouse, be your true self, your best self versus the self that's flying off the handles because you haven't really done enough self-care to understand what you're really feeling. And here's the other thing: when you don't do enough self-care or go to God with your issues, concerns, whatever the case may be, through prayer, then if you don't do that, then what ends up happening is you end up blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
And you lack the ability to articulate what your thoughts are or what you're feeling to your partner, and your partner looking at you like, what, that ain't making no sense. Like, what do you
Mm-hmm.
want me to do? And you can't really communicate what you want them to do because you really haven't had that opportunity to clear your head, clear your space, talk to someone, get it off your chest, and
Yeah.
pray
You
about
need
it.
that outlet. You
Yeah,
definitely do.
absolutely. So yeah, the common thread in this is that there are a lot of people who believe that marriage is no longer needed, and that at the end of the day, it's one of those things where they're seeing a lot of people who are unhappily married, and so their thing is that what's the point, bro? Like, I don't see nobody out here that's happily married. So what's the point of me continually doing this? There's many thoughts to that. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I think sometimes you ain't looking in the right place when you say you don't see happy. I mean, and I get it. Like you, everyone don't put it out there or it's open. I'll say it like that. We
Mm-hmm.
know plenty of couples. I mean, we got couples from our home church.
Mm-hmm.
They do the big couples retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of people are coming out, so we
Mm-hmm.
know good marriages exist. I know it keeps.
You're
What it's
fine.
doing.
Just try to back it up some for you.
Okay, we know good marriages exist. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and we are one of them. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's it's just one of the things about where are you looking to, like you said, where's your accountability or what's your group, right? Because you do
Mm-hmm.
need other people around you to help hold you accountable, to even kind of show you good models of marriage,
Yeah.
especially if you didn't have one growing up in your own household.
Uh-oh.
If you didn't have one growing up in your household, that's a whole nother dynamic
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to have to check either before you enter marriage, or if you're in marriage now and you're noticing that communication is an issue, maybe finances, like if you're noticing certain things, but then you're trying to look back and say, oh snap, well, I don't know how to handle this because I've never seen it, anyone role model it or play it out for me.
Come on.
So So yeah, I think it's a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, there are some beautiful marriages. I love my husband, 11 years. Don't get me wrong. I think the thing people don't understand is you will have ups and downs,
Come
right?
on.
I love my husband. I love him. But do I get on your nerves, baby?
Oh yeah, we on each other
And vice
nerves.
versa,
Yeah,
right? I think it's
absolutely.
just one of the
Trying, man.
things understanding from a God perspective, even remembering the vows, like to death do us part. And I know they took vows out now, so it is what it is. It's new generation. But I think truly understanding the foundation is that marriage is so much more than self fulfillment, and it's not a fairy tale.
Whoa,
And
whoa, whoa!
well,
Where you stop right there. Watch your words. It's the old
that's
folks would
what
say.
that's what that's what they
Watch your
portray,
words. No,
right?
hold on. You're right, but you just said something. You said marriage is not self fulfillment.
Yeah.
Dive into that a little deeper.
Well, I mean, even in the book that we're reading, though, right?
Come
It
on.
was saying about how um, sometimes, and that's why we said before, if you don't have God in the center, if you're not a believer or following God, I personally don't understand how do you stay married, because what happens is some people have this huge perception that we all want to be filled. We all have a desire to be accepted and
Yep.
affirmed, and there's always something inside of us that we feel like there's a void, right? I'll
Mm-hmm.
say it from that angle. We all have a void, but the thing is, only God can fill the void. I
Right.
don't care whether you listen to this, whether you save or not. God is the only one that can fill the void. The issue is that if you don't have a relationship with God and understand that, then you begin to seek out men to fill the void. So then what happens when
Facts.
you seek out a partner to fill that void that they can't fill because only God can fill it? Then you go from partner to partner, or you feel like something's wrong with them, when in reality, it's not that it's something wrong with them.
All right, so let's reel it in. Like
Okay.
let's take it piece by piece here. So how do they even know they may have a void, and what is a void?
Bro, I'm usually in some of these questions you're rolling out, okay? I don't know what this is. This is a team
No,
effort,
no,
player.
absolutely. No, you're right.
The void. I mean, I feel like we because we were designed, we were designed to have a relationship with God, right? The whole
Facts.
point He put us here on earth is to be able to show His glory and
Mm-hmm.
have a relationship with Him.
Mm-hmm.
So if that is not being fulfilled in our lives, we find or try to find other ways to bring temporary fulfillment.
Yes.
And one of those ways is through relationships. I think that's why certain people can go from relationship to relationship, because they're literally trying to find that person that they think can fill the void. And the sad part is you're never going to find that. And even when
Right.
you're married, as much as I love my husband, I know that I can't expect Andrew to fill that void that only God can fill.
Right. So, and I asked that question because there's different types of void for
Okay.
different types
Well,
of
you go and
people.
elaborate, Pastor.
No, but yeah. So what I mean, so the real core of who we are,
Mm-hmm.
even C.S. Lewis will talk about this, is the real core of who we are is designed to be connected to our Creator.
Right. There we go.
Like we
There we
don't
go.
we don't believe that we just happenstancely just jumped up out of the black sky and millions of people just was birthed on the earth. Like we just
No.
don't believe all that was just happenstance.
Yeah.
Like even science proves that. Like there's a divine creator with a divine plan. You don't just, like the iPhone just wasn't created out of thin air. Like there was a divine plan for the iPhone to
Right.
be, you know, um, created and matriculed through the earth so they can make millions of dollars, right? So what I'm saying is that sometimes there is a void of loneliness. There's a
Ah.
there's a void of self-esteem, confidence. There's a void
Mm.
of self-sufficiency, meaning like I don't never have enough. Can I provide? Do I have enough money?
That's good.
The void of um, um, I don't know, like self-sufficiency, dependency,
Not wanting to die alone.
yeah, all
Mm-hmm.
those things, that's loneliness. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying it to say there's I would say there's many ideas of or many thoughts about what the void looks like, but the core of the void is filled by God.
Right.
And so I'm saying it to say because some people may not even know that there is a void. They may not even know that they
Mm.
have that void,
But they're on
and
a constant cycle though for searching for it. They just don't realize it. That's deep.
because and here's the other thing, there may be a cognizant understanding that I have this void, but how do I get off the rat race? How do I get off the cycle? And so um but here's the thing though, this is the piece I'm getting at, man, is facing self is hard. Facing your true self is hard. It's not easy
Yeah.
to be out here and be like, yeah, man, I suck at this, dog. Like I'm trash. And and what I mean by that, when I say it that way, I'm saying to say it's hard to really look yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm not really good at that, but I'm good at these things. Yeah, I'm not good at this, and I need to learn how to do these things better. It's hard to do that, and allow God to do surgery on you in those areas is even harder, because now you have to be vulnerable in spaces and places and with God, knowing that, yeah, he about to, just cut you up and pull this stuff out,
Mm-hmm.
put some more stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all necessary, it's all required, because he created us. But I'm saying that to say, at the end of the day, like, it takes a lot of self-awareness,
Mm-hmm.
it takes a lot of humility, it takes a lot of lack of control, like just taking your hands off situations and actually sitting with someone through therapy or even a good close friend and say, hey man, help me process these things, help me
Right.
understand this about myself,
Right.
with no judgment. And that's what therapy is for, right? um, I think friendships are great. I think friendships are awesome. But I am and I think most people are nowadays. A couple of years ago, it was not. It won't that hot to go to therapy. You told somebody who's going to therapy a couple of years ago, they thought you was slap dog on crazy. Now it's like a hot new trend to go to therapy, right? And so I'm saying it to say, yeah, it's cool to go to therapy, but are you doing the work? Are you doing the work of allowing God to do the surgery? Are you doing the work of doing the work that you're receiving in therapy to actually change?
Mm.
Um, I've heard a lot of people saying they're going to therapy. They want people to go to therapy. Yeah, yep, go your hind right on the phone in there. Because I'm saying it to say, you want to go on up in there. But the real reality is, are you doing the work that it actually takes to see yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, this is not good? And here's the other piece too. Um, Therapy is not about going into the room and saying, yeah, I'm this way because somebody did this to me. That's
Yeah.
blame.
It's
That's
blame
part
game.
of it. That's part of it. That's peeling back maybe the first three layers. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, yes, there are some traumatic experiences that happen in life. There are some things that happen
Yeah.
to a lot of us.
Yeah.
But the real root of those experiences is that, okay, these experiences happen. In addition to me feeling this way and understanding this happened to me, what do I do next? How do
Yeah.
I process this in a way that is healthy, so I understand, if these triggers come about, what do I do next, in essence? And so,
That's good.
because I'm saying it to say, I'm hearing a lot of people saying, go to therapy, yeah, go to therapy, yeah, you go to therapy. But when you get your hand up on the there, you want to make sure you're doing the work,
Yeah.
and make sure that at the end of the day, when you're doing the work, you're making sure that, hey, all right, what are my checkpoints? How am I progressing in this? And even if you take some few steps back, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay to fall back a little bit, but you're gonna grow from that too. At the end of the day, I'm just saying I don't want it to become a trend, is what I'm saying. People are very cool about using things as trends now. Nowadays are hashtags because it looks cool, and we're all cool about having highlight reels. But what are you doing at the house when ain't nobody watching? That's the thing that's
That's good.
important, and so that's what makes people great. Is discipline.
That's good.
So yeah, I think it's important for us to be cognizant of those things. As you saw, I just that's part of my wife is like, don't do that, babe. No, I'm digging, going all the way in. But yeah, so I think that's important, right? Because um, I think so often, man, we want to show people the seed before it blossoms. Like, I'm saying to say, like, we put seed in the ground, and because we see somebody else's seed,
Comparison. Is
come
that what you're
on,
talking about? Yes, that will
yes,
kill
yeah,
all the
man,
time.
because we see somebody else's seed, uh, what do you call it, blossoming, blooming, what do they call it,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is,
Grass look greener. I don't know.
all
Like,
that
yeah, you
stuff.
see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like as soon as you see somebody else's, flower blossoming, you're immediately like looking at your, like, all right, let me look at mine. And some people pull their seed up out the ground before it's even ready to even blossom. And now you're trying to show people something that's fully unformed. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. You're gonna have people in your corner applauding. You're like, thank you. You do an amazing job. Keep up the great work. But the real reality is that you're looking at maybe something that's blossomed in the last, 3 months that they've been working on for the
Right.
last, 2 years. So versus just trying to look at someone else's flower and compare your seed to that and uproot your seed and try to show somebody on social media how well you're doing and you just started, like, go just sit back, chill. Like, let's, and I'm saying this because I've done it too. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not perfect. My wife will tell you
Mm-hmm.
it's been many of things that I've started and wanted some applause, wanted to be great and do well. And I had the best of intentions.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing is that um, stick to it. At the end of the day, stick to it and remember your why behind why you're doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll help you understand, like, keep it. And my grandfather would say, hold it in the road. Don't look left. Don't look right. Stay steady. Keep your head down at the end of the day. I think that's important, right? And I'm saying, why am I saying it? Is because that also applies to marriage. That also applies to marriage in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that what happens is that first 2 years in marriage is blissful, bro. You just
Unless
yeah.
your husband gets deployed within the first 2 years. But go ahead.
I ain't got one of them buttons.
I don't need a
She
button.
shot me
I don't need a
down,
button.
boo. So what she's referring to is we got married. Let's give you guys some backstory
Took me
context.
away from my home, mama. He took me away. And then he got deployed.
So I was in the Marine Corps 8 years. We got married in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
2013, I got deployed. I returned in 2014. And then in 2015, I got out of the Marine Corps. And all during this time period, we are originally from Fayetteville, North Carolina. And so
Yep.
I ended up, excuse me, I ended up taking a job. I ended up taking a job in Columbia, South Carolina. And so we're from Fayetteville. So that's
About two
about,
and a half hours.
yeah. So it's about 2.5 hours. My wife has never lived away from home
Nope.
for one. When we went to college together, we all went to Fayetteville State University.
Yep.
And when we went to where we're from in North Carolina, HBCU Pride, let's
Ooh,
go,
ooh.
turn up.
Bronco.
Yeah. So she's never lived away from home, and so traveled, a little bit of everywhere. But the biggest thing was never lived away from home,
Right.
and so that's a blessing. But the thing is I had traveled all over the place and lived in different places, and so she had never done that before. So when we got married, my concern is if she ever got tired of me and wanted to go home, we were not too far away, and she could not have that opportunity to say, yo, I just need some space. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. That's really what it was at the end of the
Really?
facts. Oh
Why
yeah.
you ain't tell me that?
No. Just what it was. And so, but I knew, because, well, I'll say this, I knew she had never lived away from home. So I knew at some juncture marriage was tough. And I knew that at some point we were gonna get on each other's nerves. And so I knew if she ever wanted to, you know, take a break, say, "Oh, I need to go home,"
It
then
wasn't too far
it was
away. I
it
got
was
you.
available to her. And then but at the end of the day, as a man, as a husband, I got to make this bread. We're gonna work. We're gonna have this job. We're gonna make it happen. Like, ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And so that was one of the reasons why I took the job where I took it. And so um, that year alone for her, because it's really what it was. We were deployed for 10 months, but prior to that, we had prep work. And so that year alone for her, and I want to speak for her, I'll let her share that.
It's different.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. It was tough for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I even live different places. But I'll let you take
Yeah,
over.
like I said, I didn't know I was signing up to be married, and then within a year, my husband deployed. So that was different. But it was a learning experience.
Well,
Talk
hold
about
on. You said you didn't know you was signing up because I don't want people to watch this and think, well, he's in the military. What you did? What you thought? I was in the reserves, guys. I was in the Marine
right.
Corps
I
for
did
eight
not
years.
know.
So in the Marine Corps reserves, any facet of military reserves, you
Reserve.
can you can have a normal regular life as well as be in the military. But at some juncture, there's the potential to be deployed,
Right, right,
and you
right,
will be deployed for as long as any regular full-time active duty military personnel.
right.
And so that was the I won't say confusion, but that was the difference in essence. Is that I was living a normal regular life, but I was a United States Marine, through and through, it was what it was. And so when I
Mm-hmm.
got deployed, it was a surprise for her because she's like, yo, you only normally gone like 1 week in the month, and then you do like two
Right,
weeks out the
right, right,
year,
right. Now
and
you
you
going
may
the whole.
travel every
Mm-hmm.
once and again, but now you gone for a whole year. Like, what's this about?
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you fine. So it definitely was different. But what I loved is before he left, we did get connected to a beautiful church. Shout out to Word of God.
Hey.
Loved them. Dance ministry. I was connected there, and it was a beautiful group of sisters or a community of sisters that really kind of helped hold me accountable, just checking in on me. He got me my
Mm-hmm.
little first dog. So what I will say is, and I came straight from my parents' house. Like I never even lived on my own,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is totally a whole new world for me.
Facts.
Having to pay bills, like different things like that, I didn't have to do,
Yep.
because I was with my mom and dad.
Yep.
So it was definitely a maturing experience, but I love what I know what my husband told me before, like he knew I was capable of it, even though I didn't know I was capable of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some times I wanted to go back home. I was like, this is for the birds. This is not what I
Mm-hmm.
signed up for. But like I said, community is what kept
Mm-hmm.
me. Word of
Mm-hmm.
God. I forever love y'all. That was
Mm-hmm.
definitely a foundation for me to build on and feel secure while you were gone. So
Facts.
we made it through, man. We made it through. He's
Yeah.
out now, thank goodness. So we don't got to worry about that anymore
Yeah.
because we got kids added to the equation. So if he deploys now, I will be going home. So
So
yeah.
yeah, so that was the dynamics of that. And so yeah. So what got us on that, I was basically saying that the first 2 years of marriage, um the first 2 years of marriage are blissful, bro. Like they just like doing it. You
For the most
just
part, yes.
you enjoying it. Like she said, it's the honeymoon, bro.
It's the honeymoon phase. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
And so I'm from Fayetteville too. I'm gonna say both. Like I listen. It is what it is. So you enjoying it. First 2 years it is you shoot. And so then reality hits. And what I mean by reality is that at some point in time between that 3 to 5 year mark, things become a little different. And what I mean by that is that I'll say it like one lady told me in counseling. I was counseling this couple of times. She said, "Hey, listen, there's more to life in marriage than just having sex and paying bills."
Oh yeah, way
And
more.
she was saying it in a sense that it was, um, I know there's more to this than what we're doing. It just has to be more. Like this is becoming very daunting and monotonous. Like there is no life here.
Mm.
And so, that was a struggle, and so I'm saying it to say it's that 3 to 5 year mark where things become different. Like they can make some strife starts to start brewing, and you start really seeing some changes in your partner, and you start, like my wife said, learning how to try to adapt and
Mm-hmm.
grow. And here's the thing, man, I've seen couples get married in 1 year and they have a child in 1 year
Yeah.
in that same year. Listen, hats off to you. God bless you. The level of,
Y'all the real MVPs.
come on, what? The level of wherewithal
Yeah.
and the level of fortitude you build in them years when you have them kids the first time. Shoot.
You grow up real quick. That's what I say.
ASAP, Doc. And so, because why I'm saying that is because most times, in most instances, and these are my own numbers, um, I would probably be wrong in this, but I'm pretty sure on this is that most people typically get married between 22 and maybe 32. I know there's a large gap in there, but I would say anywhere we could just probably move the number up to 25 and 32. But nowadays that number is raising because of what I said earlier. People are just deciding not to get married and wait a little longer
Yeah.
nowadays. When we got married in 2012, that's probably what the age range was, is 25 to maybe like 32, maybe a little younger. But all that to be said, those years scientifically, you say, I know we talked about this before, your brain doesn't fully form until year 25.
Yeah. You're still
And
growing and evolving. Mm-hmm.
exactly. And so at that rate, 3 to 5 years in marriage, you're trying to honestly still figure out who you are.
Yeah.
You're really trying to understand what is it you do and don't like, and so some people say, oh, that's why, I figured it out before you get married and blah 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 blah. And I'm like,
Figure what out.
figure out who you are.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool.
I think you'll figure out some of who you are, but when you do get connected and get married, there's another ramp, like another level
Okay.
that you gotta go through.
Facts. That's what I'm
So
saying. And so
yeah.
what I'm saying is that
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because think about it. Like I knew who Tiffany was as Tiffany, but then I had to find out who Tiffany is as a wife.
There you
Then
go.
I had to
Said
find
it
out who Tiffany
beautifully,
is as a mother.
beautifully,
So I think it's all
beautifully.
evolving. And like you said, I think we just don't give ourselves room for growth. And but I even remember the late Dr. Miles Monroe. He was awesome
Mm-hmm.
preacher. He said it even for women. He was like, when you're looking to get married, you want to make sure the man you want to get married to has a vision, because your goal is to help him fulfill that vision, and you want to follow a man that has a vision that's going somewhere. So
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, then if we know, hey, I'm realizing you have a vision, I want to come and be your help me and support you in fulfilling that vision. There are going to be changes along the way. Vision takes years to fulfill sometimes. It's different
Yes,
levels, right? Your first
absolutely.
vision that God can have is for you to be with the family. Next vision could be to start a business. It could be to do a ministry. It could be to serve. It's so many different levels um, that you go through as a couple. I just think you have to be willing to understand that it's growth. Like we got married at 25, like you said. So, I mean, you got to grow.
Yeah,
You got to.
absolutely. And so I'm saying it to say like the piece I'm not saying is just this. I think that the part about figuring yourself out before you get married. I think yes, at some point you understand there's a core person of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying is that at some rate you even question that too. At some point that changes over time
Mm-hmm.
because of the experiences that life takes you through.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things, the core ideas of who you think you are at 25 change by the time you're 36.
Yeah.
Speaking from two 36-year-olds
Right. 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 Right.
who've been through some things,
Right.
and so I'm saying it to say, um, you know, I think and so here's a piece is this. If you're waiting to get married or you are in a space where you are about to get married and you are unsure because you're trying to make sure that you are 100% all the way there, there is no 100% all the way
No.
there. Nada. Before I got ready to get married to my wife and talking to my pastor, and I was like, hey, man, I don't know if I'm going to ever be 100% there. He said, do you think you will ever be? And I was like, dang, you right, bro. He's like, no, man, you no. And as I'm going through life, which we've been married 11 years now, I'm like, he's absolutely right. You know what I mean? And so I think there's this overly ambitious expectation that you have to have reached it in whatever it is before you say yes or I do or I will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
Disagree with me. I don't care. I think it's fine. But I think at the end of the day, I don't think there's ever going to be hey, I'm here. I've reached the mountaintop. Come join me.
No. No.
You know what I mean? So I don't think there's ever going to be that. You know what I mean? And if there is, guess what? Same way you got up the mountain, there's also a way back down too. And so you want somebody that's going to be with you at the top of the mountain as well as the bottom of the mountain. And so
That's true.
this life has peaks and valleys. Be okay with that.
Yeah.
I think my wife ready for me to stop. You ready for me to stop? Ooh, that little breath. See, that's
I'm
what I'm
just
saying.
watching the time,
No, no,
if you
no,
make it too
no,
long, people
no.
ain't gonna want to stay on and listen.
The people who want to be here gonna be here,
Ah,
huh?
ah.
That's what I'm saying. Intimacy. That little breath right there. I knew what she
I
meant.
just took a
No,
breath. I
oh, I
don't
knew it.
know.
No, no,
I
no.
don't know what
I
you're
knew.
talking about.
Hill. That's that. All right, babe. Okay, now don't keep people too long. Don't do that to them. No, okay. All right. God bless you. Love you. Listen, we love y'all. It's been amazing. We're gonna do this as often as God allows us to, and
Yeah.
life allows us to.
Yes.
And so we're gonna come to you as good and honest and transparent as we know how.
Yep.
And so yeah, I think it's gonna be absolutely amazing.
The benediction.
Yes, this is my beautiful wife. Isn't she beautiful? She's just
Oh,
amazing.
this is my handsome husband.
I'm all right.
And you might have mine taken. Inward.
But this has been amazing. Thank you all for sticking around with us. Tune back in and keep up with us, as we would love to, share more information as well as you guys ask us questions. Like I said, we don't got it all together. We don't know everything. We have been through a lot. You can look at some of our old videos and see where we've been through infertility. We've done a lot of different other things, and so yeah, man, it's been a wild, beautiful journey. And so,
And it still continues.
amen. Love y'all.